be in on that.
No, they would not.
But from a Steeler fan perspective, it feels like their attitude towards this year is, can we just get to Kenny Pickett? Like, let's enough of this with Mitch Trubisky. So for us, however, you can't. It's impossible to be hyperbolic about this matchup, Joe, because you have to have it.
Got to.
It's all about expectations, right? We know where the Browns should be at this point. They should be at 2-0. They should be looking at a stretch here coming up that you got to get a few wins here because your season gets a lot more difficult in the middle of the year. But also with as good as Jacoby Brissett and this offense played last week, all of a sudden, like outside of the last 2 minutes, when I was watching that game, my expectations were recalibrated in my brain for what should happen the first 11 games of the season before Deshaun Watson comes back. To me, that's why this one is so important.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you have tasted like, wow, with Jacoby at quarterback, we can be better than we thought. It's not just hang on to your butt until Deshaun comes back. Hopefully you're at 500. Like, this is a team that's built with enough talent. And what I saw from an offensive standpoint, a play call and scheme on offense that can get the best out of Jacoby and this offense and can score points against anybody. Like, we could have first place in the division 11 games into the season. And that's why this one is so important, to be able to feel like we're back kind of where we should be after just totally giving one away last week.
Look, the goal all along was 3-1 in the first four.
Yeah,
I think.
still there.
And that's still on the table for you. You've got to get tonight, and it's a division game. And so if you were going to lose one, the Jets of the three, you probably would have rather lost to an NFC team, but nonetheless, it's certainly better than the one loss being the Steelers. 3-1 with a loss to the Steelers is different than 3-1 with a win over the Steelers. And your point about Jacoby was so well founded. 22 of 27, 229 yards. It was Madden-esque in the sense, if you remember, you had 2 balls that were caught but were out of bounds, so that's 24 out of 27. Then you had an interception, so that's 25 out of 27 that hit the ground. You had 26 out of 27 would have been Chiefs drop that hit him in the chest. So there was really only one pass that just wasn't caught. There was just a true incompletion.
I was blown away
in the whole game.
Yeah, I was blown away at his unwillingness to put a ball in harm's way. I mean, everything was like our guy gets it or nobody. I mean, it was other than the pick at the end, but you're pressing at that point. But everything else, I mean, his location on the intermediate stuff is perfect.
It's been excellent.
There's never a time when you look when the ball is released and you go, that hasn't happened. And we got a lot of that the last 4 years.
It was great. And maybe, Z, you noticed this being that you were in person for both games, but I only saw week 2 against the Jets in person. But to me, it looked like when Jacoby was in the pocket, he was much more calm.
Absolutely.
His feet were much quieter. And that's one of the things you hear these quarterback gurus and these guys talking a lot about with the footwork is like having calm feet in the pocket, no wasted movement, not getting jittery. And when you're making a decision, you make it with your feet and you're very decisive. And then the ball is accurate and it's on time and on the money. And that's what I saw from Jacoby every time he dropped back. He was decisive. He knew exactly where his eyes needed to go to control safeties, to get his feet in the right place to be able to deliver the ball. And it gets you so excited when you see your quarterback that's playing like that to go with a rushing attack that's number 1 in the NFL. Not number 1 we think, but number 1 in our hearts.
That's right, baby.
See, I'm glad you were there to stat check me.
The Eagles are cheating.
But according to my sheet, they're number 1 in rushing, and the NFL Network is never wrong.
Maybe that was that before the Monday Nighter? I don't know.
Maybe that's what happened. That they
got very
sent
ambitious.
it out too soon.
Here's the other. This circles back into the overarching point of how important this is. We're favored by 4.5 tonight.
Yep.
We'll be favored next week at Atlanta, I would think.
Yep.
We will not be Los Angeles.
If we're 3-1 and we actually play,
we're not going to be not over the Chargers.
It could be a close spread.
They're going to
be at home.
Yeah,
getting a few points there usually.
Come on,
Justin Herbert's ribs.
Okay, if, but likely not. New England will be slight
favored.
At Baltimore, no. Cincinnati here, no. At Miami, at Buffalo, Tampa Bay. You got to get them.
No, you got to get them now.
I'm with you.
You got to get them.
It's a big one.
Tough sledding. Chargers,
it gets harder, no doubt.
I mean, I'm with you on New England. I don't think they're any good, but no. Chargers, Ravens, Bengals, Dolphins, Buffalo, Bucks.
No,
that's brutal.
100%. So
you got to get it.
You've got to get it. Take care of your business, and you know that you didn't last weekend. So I think it makes it even more important to do so. I just want to go back to what you were saying with Jacoby. That first week, I think that he was really emotional. I think we saw that in the postgame. I think he was really amped up. And I think that he was just a little off. And when you're just a little off, that's a big difference in the NFL. And in this one, he was so calm. And then you talked about that ground game, which is a very valid point. By the way, we've rushed for more than 180 yards in 3 straight games dating back to last year. He was 8 for 8 for 88 yards and a quarterback rating of 113 on play action in week 2 after having just 1 completion for 1 yard off of play action in week 1. To me, that was one of the biggest changes in his game, and that just kept everything in rhythm. The offense just was in rhythm. And then here's something that you don't see every day. Under pressure last week, 7 of 8 for 102 yards. That's 12.8 an attempt, 119 rating. Most quarterbacks dip below 50% immediately under pressure. He was 7 of 8. So that's probably what, the highest range of what you can expect from Jacoby Brissett. That'll be one of the best games he's ever played. But taking care of the football, keeping it out of harm's way, that's a staple of what he can do. And if we can find between here and Carolina, there's a lot of room that's positive, and to your point, that we absolutely can win. Because here's the thing, this offense is a great offense. Kevin Stefanski is a great play caller and schemer, and if we just hit the plays last year, we would have been really, really good. And Jacoby takes what's there.
What a great tee up by Z, because I was just going to say, this is not a stat that I've seen, but I saw it with my eyes, is the game plan that we had last week against the Jets, we talked about it a little bit on Monday, was a lot of traps, which is not something you see in the NFL a lot, right? But we were trying to take advantage of the Jets' defensive line, which likes to get upfield and penetrate. So we basically took what we do well rushing, and we did something that we've not really put on tape very much at all. But the dynamic ability and the flexibility of this offensive line and the rushing attack to be able to continually rush for over 150, 180 yards in this case in back-to-back weeks with completely different schemes that match what your defense doesn't do well. It reminds me a little bit of the Bengals defense from last year. If you think about the Bengals defense, was kind of like the unheralded story of their run to the Super Bowl, because they didn't have a lot of stars and they didn't have like one thing that you said, wow, they're really good at doing X, Y, and Z. But what they were good at was being flexible to try to take advantage of the weakness of the offense that they were playing against, which to me, when I'm looking at this offense on tape until Deshaun comes back, is like, all right, Jacoby's not the player that Deshaun Watson was. He played really, really well last week, but what can we hang our hat on, and what can we say that this is what can keep us in every game and allow us to score against the best defenses in the NFL? It's being flexible with our rushing attack and being able to utilize and attack the weaknesses of the defense. So when you're going against Buffalo in the middle of the schedule, when you're going against Tampa, when you're going against Miami, and you're looking at them on film, you're going to be able to exploit their weakness, because this rushing attack, for as much as we want to call them an outside zone scheme, we aren't really seeing a lot of outside zones. We're seeing much more of the pin pull, the power, the inside zone, and the trap stuff, because that's what the defenses we're going against don't handle very well. And our ability to just change who we are from week to week on offense and execute it flawlessly could be our arbitrage and our advantage going into every one of these weeks, especially these games that we're saying, we might not be favored in, or we're probably not going to be favored, especially when you get to that schedule where it's Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Miami, like those teams that are really on a roll right now.
And by the way, to your point, you're talking about that pin pull, getting outside, running that power outside of the tackles. Last week, without T.J. Watt, the Steelers gave up 5.8 yards per carry on runs outside of the tackles. Wow. And you think about, because one of the reasons that happens is all of a sudden you got Highsmith on one side, 242. The other side, Malik Reed's 235. T.J. Watt set an edge. I mean, he flies off the ball and sets an edge. And they used to have him on one side and Bud Dupree on the other, who also was a very physical guy.
Physical.
I
like
the
him
edge
more than most people.
So they're giving up. You can run to those edges. Those pin pulls will work. The outside zone will work. And Nick Chubb, wouldn't you know, best in the NFL on runs outside the tackles since 2018. He's got 3,791 yards, 5.8 yards a carry, and 28 touchdowns outside the tackles since 2018. So, in other words, he's pretty good.
I hope the Steelers aren't listening, but what I think we're going to see from the Browns offense tonight is you're going to see a lot more outside zone than we have seen in the past. I think you're going to see a lot more 2 tight end sets. We're going to try to get them in their base defense, and we're going to attack those edges, to your point. Those are little guys on the edge, and if you can double team them, push them off the ball, not allow them to set an edge, which is what happened to the Steelers last week with New England. If you watch that film, they went at Alex Highsmith because
right at him.
He had 3 sacks in the first game, and so they didn't want to get in a situation where we're running away from him, letting him chase down from behind, just like the Aaron Donald idea. Run at him, don't run away from him because he's so good at chasing from behind, and wear him out in the running game so he's not there to rush the passer on third down. So I expect a healthy dose of outside zone where you're double teaming those little guys on the edge, you're collapsing the edge, and then you're allowing the running backs to get around the tight ends. And then as you're starting to just wear out that outside zone, that's when you start doing some of the stuff to the inside, the cutbacks, and then we might see in a little bit of the pin pull and a little bit of those trap schemes. So it'll be interesting to see like how flexible this offensive line and the scheme can be with Kevin Stefanski going against a much different opponent this week.
And I think your point about trying to keep them in base is very good because Devin Bush is not the player he was before he tore his ACL, and you can get him, and if you can get him in coverage situations, he has been
That's the other thing that's good, and that's the advantage of having 2 tight ends that are as athletic as ours. Is right, you get them in base, and you all of a sudden have a tight end that can't run trying to cover Harrison Bryant or the Chief, which is a bad matchup. I don't care who you put on him.
You like all of those matchups. We have many more to get into. We've got over-unders for you coming up here at the bottom of the hour. Bernie Kosar in hour number 2. Your game forecast, you have that to look forward to. Have some props we're going to have some fun with. It's the Steelers on Thursday night. It's here. We're off and running. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. The bathroom of your dreams. You can transform it into a custom bath for a spa-like experience in about a day with the Bath Authority. They can make it a reality for you at a fraction of the cost of competitors. The Bath Authority is our area's premier bath and shower remodeler. Experts and factory-trained installers. Give them a call now. You get $500 off your next custom bath or shower remodel. That number is 216-220-8399 or go to thebathauthority.com. It's where affordability meets quality. Largest selection of bath projects, all made in the United States. Change your bathroom from outdated to outstanding. Acrylic tubs that insulate and keep the heat in. Tub to shower conversions. If you need them, they got them. Superior products with expert installers at thebathauthority.com. We set this game is on Amazon Prime tonight. It'll be their second foray into it. If here locally, it'll also be on News 5, so you can get it there as well. I set the over-under last week on Chargers Chiefs at 10.5 million. Is what I thought would be a good number based on streaming and not knowing who could access it and where it would come from. They went way over that. I saw stuff this morning of 15. This is 13. This is the Nielsen official. Amazon is claiming 15 across
They would
all
know.
of their
How would
platforms.
Nielsen know?
They would know more than Nielsen. They would have the exact.
Nielsen's it's over. Their
It
time's
feels
gone.
like, yeah. Well, they jumped in after. So Amazon put their numbers out first at over 15, and then Nielsen came in like an hour later and said 13 was their number on it. The other thing that's really important about this, though, is the breakout ratings of this. So it was up 6% in 34 to 48 compared to normal NFL games. It was the highest rated game for 18 to 34-year-olds in the NFL. It was up exponentially year to year. And overall, it beat the biggest thing on network was some show on CBS did 3.5 million.
Jeez.
Yeah. So
Smashed.
what this does, what these numbers do, and we've already all locked in for our, with our television packages right now in the NFL, but what it allows for is an immediate understanding that far more people are ready for this than I think a lot of sports leagues thought.
Yep.
And college football is dealing with this right now. And to this point, nobody's gotten into the full streaming. The Big Ten's going to do some stuff with Peacock. This is real. Those numbers are enormous for what was expected in the industry.
It is enormous, and to put it in context, and I know that you obviously have a very good ratings guy, so you might know this better, but I thought I saw that the Monday night 2 games totaled 21 million.
Oh.
Yeah, it was something like that.
So, I mean, you're talking about just right now massive numbers for the National Football League because it is king, and it's one thing that you got to watch live. Like, it just is one of those things that you have got to watch live, and I think it's obvious that this has been an incredible this is a great experiment for them, though. To get 13 million the first night on Amazon Prime, I think that's wild. That's mind-boggling.
Here are some of those breakouts. I have them exactly here now. I found them. 7 years younger than the linear NFL audience on average. So 53 is the average NFL audience age. 46 was the average age on Amazon. It delivered a 4.25 rating in adults 18 to 34. That's 18% higher than the average 18 to 34 rating for an NFL telecast this season. 18%.
Wow.
The young people, if it's on the pads, they find it. They're watching on phones and pads, and that's how it goes. Thursday Night Football on Prime also recorded higher than last year's full season TriCast. So it rated better than last year on Fox and NFL and whoever was on that. It did better than that. It's up 29% on that in 18 to 34 and up 9% 18 to 49. Most watched program, as I mentioned, Young Sheldon was the CBS show that did 3.5 million. This one I also thought was interesting. According to the local market ratings, 602,000 people saw it in Los Angeles. That's a big, big city. 602,000. 555 in Kansas City. So basically every television in Kansas City was on.
Wow.
The Chiefs was on it.
Yeah.
I like that.
So there you go. It's going to be like that tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In this area, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, these are two very, very tradition-rich programs that'll deliver, I think, in a very, very big way. Big win for the league and for Amazon and for streaming in general. For tonight's game, Gibby wants to know, what matchup must the Browns win to come out on top tonight? We'll start with the Hoff.
I think it's going to be Mitchell Trubisky versus the Browns secondary. The much maligned secondary after what happened last week at the end of the game. You cannot allow a Mitchell Trubisky who's struggling coming into this game, who's not pushing the football down the field. You cannot allow him to gain any confidence early on by completing some passes and then letting him stick around where he can get lucky towards the end of the game. So I think you got to put your foot on his neck early on. You got to hit him. You got to keep him in the pocket. Don't allow him to get outside because that's where he always operates at his best. And I think they're going to do that with a little bit more man coverage. They're going to try to get up on the line of scrimmage, get in these receivers' faces, force Mitchell Trubisky to hold on to the football a little bit longer and see what he can do trying to challenge these cornerbacks down the field.
And then I'll go to the other side of the ball. And I think the matchup for me that I'm going to be watching is Alex Wright, Isaac Rochelle, and Isaiah Thomas filling in for Jadeveon Clowney against Dan Moore, who was brutal last year, but so far he's been okay. The left tackle, a 4th-round pick in 2021, and then Okorafor, who was their 3rd-round pick in 2018, has been a 3-year starter. They're not very good, and so we need somebody to step up opposite Myles Garrett. And, I was actually looking last year. Myles only had 1 sack in the 3 games without Jadeveon Clowney last year, which I thought was interesting. The Browns were 0-3 without Clowney in 2021. So, and we all do know, he sits 1 sack away from the franchise record. So let me ask you this, Huff. So Mitchell Trubisky is the kind of guy that, like most quarterbacks, struggles when under pressure. He's averaging right now, just 4.8 yards per attempt. They are as a team, which is last in the NFL. Dreadful. When he has been blitzed this year, 33% completions, 3.9 yards per attempt. They're getting the ball out quickly. How do you try to make up for the lack of Clowney? And then also, they've got good receivers, but if the ball's coming out so quickly, you can play tighter coverage. How would you schematically take us inside of, the mind of Joe Woods? How do you get after Trubisky? How do you maybe have to compensate for the fact that your other defensive end is not going to do what Clowney has done for you in the first 2 games?
You got to do it in 2 ways. One, you got to confuse him a little bit to make him try to hold on to the football and make his picture cloudy.
Okay.
Because if he's not sure where the ball needs to go, and if he's not sure that his quick throw option is available, he's going to hold on to it an extra click, right? So that's one way you got to slow him down, keep the football in his hand a little bit longer. The other way is you're going to be playing more of those man coverages, those tighter coverage to the line of scrimmage. Mitch is not a guy that takes a lot of chances. He doesn't want to throw the football down the field. Obviously, if it's there, if there's a bust or something, he's going to take that shot. But for the most part, he just wants to get rid of the ball safely, quickly, and efficiently. And so playing those tight coverages, confusing him with different looks, having guys walk up, give him those simulated pressures, giving him the idea that you're going to blitz and then drop into coverage where a lot of those shallow zones are covered by spot droppers, by zone droppers. You can even throw in some zone blitzes, which Dick LeBeau and the Steelers invented, how many decades ago, where all of a sudden it feels like he's overload blitzing, but he's dropping guys into spots that you usually used to trying to get rid of quick, hot throws. So a combination of all those things will hopefully let Mitchell Trubisky or force him to hold on to the football and give Myles Garrett a little bit longer time to try to get to the quarterback to be able to affect the game by sacking the quarterback.
It's interesting. This Steelers offense is really an elixir for everything that ails, because they haven't shown an ability to have big plays. They are very pessimistic in their approach in terms of everything is short, it's quick. It's really not a good offense, guys. It's just not. It's just that simple. They're averaging 83 yards on the ground as a team. They're throwing for 180. It took 5 turnovers by Joe Burrow and 2 missed operations on field goals for them to win in Cincinnati. And even still, it was down to the final play. So, and that was with Watt for most of that game. And they're not the same team without him.
Oh, my God. They went from week 1 with Watt. Hoff, you're going to love these stats. Week 1 with T.J. Watt, 7 sacks and 22 pressures. Without him, 0 sacks and 2 pressures in the game on Mac Jones. In the game. And I was talking with somebody who did that, has been covering the Steelers the first couple of weeks, and he said, Alex Highsmith just found out how hard it is to be Batman. Great Robin, right. But being Batman's tough. And I think to your point, when I watched that, and that was noted on the broadcast, that they are running right at Alex Highsmith.
Yep. Running right at him. Gibby wants to know, who is your X Factor player or coach tonight? I'll start with you, Dr. Z.
I'm going to give just an off-the-wall one because it's a transaction that happened today. Chester Rogers was elevated from the practice squad, and then I just saw this tweet from our good friend PFT Commenter. And this is a quote. Last night, I dreamt that the Browns returned a punt for a touchdown. No idea why I dreamt about the Browns. It's probably not mentally healthy, but I'm just letting everyone know because Jeff Lowe just told me they made a change to their punt returner. I'm betting big on a Chester Rogers touchdown today. And so Chester Rogers has been activated to the active roster this week. Last year averaged 10 yards a punt return with Tennessee, 30 punt returns, 293 yards for his career. He's got 90 punt returns, 844 yards, and a long of 55. So Chester Rogers, a little X factor.
Interesting transaction, my friend there.
A very interesting one, and I'm curious to see how that affects the actives, inactives at receiver. Does this give a guy like Mike Woods an opportunity to be active this week because if Demetric Felton's not returning kicks, has he done enough to warrant being active as a receiver? And so far through 2 weeks, he has 1 catch for 3 yards on 1 target and 1 rush for -4 yards.
Hoff, who you got? X Factor player or coach?
For me, it's the Browns linebackers, right? Anthony Walker Jr., Taki, JOK, who, by the way, if you guys have looked at their PFF grades through
Love
2
'em.
weeks.
Number 1,
like,
number 3,
unbelievable.
and number 5.
Thank you.
That's
3
right.
of our linebackers are top 5 in the NFL.
That's right.
In being graded after the first 2 weeks of the season. We talked all preseason about how great the secondary is supposed to be. They've let us down. The linebackers have not let us down. They have exceeded the expectations. And the reason I have them as my players to watch and one of the keys is because Najee Harris is an explosive running back for the Steelers. Right now, this is on the season, 2 games, not 1 game. 25 carries, 72 rush yards, 0 touchdowns.
Yeah.
When you're thinking about hierarchy of how do we win against this team, right? Your keys, obviously the first thing we talked about was taking away the quick passes for Mitchell Trubisky, right? Because that's his comfort zone. Take that away, he's not going to know what to do. You cannot allow them to get the rushing game started because that's the key for them to be able to stay in this game and hang with us is if they can get Najee Harris going. That's going to fall on our linebackers being able to fly sideline to sideline because I feel like in this game, the Browns and the Steelers understand what the game plan is going to be for the Steelers offense. It's going to be trying to get Najee Harris over 100 yards, get him the touches, play small ball. Don't allow the Browns offense to touch the football as much as you would in a normal game. Limit the number of possessions and try to win a low-scoring game on a short week, which sometimes happens on those short weeks because you don't have as many days to game plan. Your guys are a little bit tired, a little bit more worn out from the week before. So they're thinking lean on Najee Harris. The Browns cannot allow that, and that goes to the Browns linebackers to be able to limit him.
Yeah, it was
What's on your hoodie? What's that say?
Cleveland Browns defensive backs.
That's it, man.
Step up.
And not even just I hope they play aggressive. Like we've talked so much about the building of this secondary, and then put the back 7 in there. The 2 guys you mentioned, JOK and Anthony Walker Jr. We've talked so much about similar body types and ability to flop in and out and to disguise and confuse. Against a team like this, where the deep threat, it's just really not there much. Boy, wouldn't it be something to jump a couple of routes? Wouldn't it be something to confuse and blitz with safeties and linebackers and Trubisky doesn't know who's doing what? Wouldn't it be nice to take one to the barn the other way?
Yeah.
I mean, we're due. That group is too damn talented to be where we're at right now. And this is a get healthy game.
No, they've done their job.
Do their job. Do your job.
2-0, no doubt. And to your point about Najee, last year the Steelers, we know, beat us twice. Najee, in the first one, 26 carries, 91 yards, 3 catches for 29, so 120 total yards on 29 touches. Second time around that Monday night debacle, 28 rushes, 188 yards, and a touchdown. That was his best game of the year last year. So I'm with you. We got to get after him.
His first game against us, though, I mean, that's an incredible usage rate. That was an incredible game out of him.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is every time he gets it, it's tough sledding. There's nothing easy, man. So it's people at his feet all the time.
He led the NFL in touches last year and averaged only 4.3 yards a touch, which is the worst among the 20 players with the most touches in the league. So he was getting volume and taking a beating last year.
And it's even worse than the stats, and the stats are bad.
Oh, my goodness.
It's worse when you watch it because so many times last year he'd be standing with his back to the defense and Roethlisberger in desperation would hit it out to him. And then
here you go, buddy. Yeah, Kareem.
Done. All right, we'll hit a little over-under coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Elk & Elk Serious Lawyers, serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO for a free case review. Elk & Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time for a little over-under. Hello, Gibby.
Hi, boys. Were you talking trash at me earlier?
No. No, it was a golden moment.
We needed you. We just needed you to be listening. You missed a great radio.
It was
the
really
problem
on
was
a tee for you
in
to
typical
enjoy.
fashion, the stream, people couldn't listen. They could only see you.
I know. Nana was not pleased.
Yeah, we're up. We're good. It's just another day.
Is that a button
What was
situation,
happening?
or is that an initial
That
setup
is something
situation?
on the back end. That is something that I have no idea. I have to call other people to get them involved because we don't know where the back end of that is. So all week long. So I would anticipate we'll have a problem tomorrow because we've had one for 4 straight days.
It's really. I think it's great
but
that
we've
we're
gotta
having these
be-
problems during the season.
We've got to be.
I think
Yeah.
that's good. I think it's really good to be doing them on game days and,
Perfect.
and
Just
post-game reaction days. I think it's good to
awesome.
have these hiccups.
we
It's
can go
best to
live
work
10
out
minutes
your
beforehand
kinks.
and it doesn't matter.
I find that it's best to work out your kinks in the middle of the war as
Right.
opposed to before the war starts.
Yeah.
Feels like that's what Russia's doing.
They are. It feels like
Always
they're
good.
sorting it out in the middle.
Always great.
Just trying to work through it in the middle.
That's how we're doing this
Not
today.
the best planning. All right. Here's where we are on your over-unders. Unbelievable effort here. We have a tie at the top
Yep, that's right.
between Gibbe and the Hoff.
Give it and the Hoff.
I'm
5 and
honored.
5
I'm-
each.
Pressure
I'm
is
honored.
on.
It's okay. You can totally kick my you-know-what today. It's fine.
I can't wait.
And both of you guys sitting at even Steven. 5 up, 5 down. Segura. 3 and 7 out of the gates. But this, you little rope-a-dope. You're like Ali.
Set them up,
Take
make
some
them
shots.
Otherwise, it's not satisfying to just smush year after year. You got to give them some happiness so that I can reel them back in, and then
Oh, boy.
When
Deep down, it drives the girl crazy that I'm beating him in anything.
what we need,
Hoff
Browns,
is one thing, but me, no.
I need a Browns therapy of your head on Ali's face just taking shots in the rope-a-dope. Just taking it from
Little
Gibbe.
bobblehead.
Yeah, I need that. All right, gentlemen, here we go. Number 1. We've moved this line.
Over or under?
Good job out of you. We've moved this a little bit, but it's one of my favorite ones. And the over has hit the first 2 weeks. We will start with Gibbe. Chubb and Hunt, total touches. So for historical perspective, week
I think
1,
I've gone 2 for 2, by the way.
you have. Week 1, we were 35
the difference. This is the
point-
difference.
This is the difference in the game between you and Z anyway. It is the absolute. In week 1, Chubb and Hunt were 38 total touches. The over-under I set was 35.5. Last week, I set 33.5 as the over-under. They went at 35. Tonight, short week, Steelers, 34.5, Gibbe.
Did you say 34 points?
34.5.
Over.
Over.
Run the damn ball.
Get
It's
it.
worked.
Sakura. You doing it again?
I got to.
You
It
really-
just is such a high percentage of the plays. Like, I know that
Maybe
it
this
has
is who we
happened.
are.
I believe it's worked. Has it not worked? Has it not looked good the first 2 weeks? Are you not
Is this
entertained?
who we are?
It is who we are, but that is a big number. I'm going to take the under.
All right.
Oh, wow.
The under.
Interesting.
for
No faith.
Segura. Hoff.
It's tons of faith.
Over. I expected everybody to take the over on this one, to be totally honest. With how things are setting up tonight, it's going to be one of those games you just run the football.
Don't be talked into things that cost you last
It
week.
cost me last week. I know.
All right.
Over or under?
All right, we like to play around a little bit in the passing game here on over-under, and so today we're going to pair together a couple of receiving options on the over-under. And we'll start with a Hoff on this one. Amari Cooper and the Chief, total receiving yardage, greater than, over-under rather, Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool. Claypool and Johnson
Yes.
versus Njoku and Coop.
I believe they'll be under because, as I mentioned in the first over-under, I think the Browns are going to focus on rushing the football, and
Right.
the Steelers will be behind, so they're going to be throwing the football, and those guys are going to get a lot of targets from the Steelers.
Deontay Johnson has
They've
at
done.
least 5 catches in 14 straight games.
This is true.
Second longest streak in the NFL behind only Cooper Kupp. Now, Claypool's got 44 yards on the year
Total.
total.
Chiefs slow start too, though.
Chief slow start. Chief on the season, he's got, 4 catches for 39 yards on the year. So I just think there's more upside in the Claypool and Deontay Johnson side of things. So I'm agreeing with the Hoff and taking those two.
All right, give it.
Under.
Under as well. Give it goes under as well. Next.
Over or under.
So we mentioned Najee Harris and his importance to their operation and the slow start. Z mentioned his numbers last year against us. I want to say it was 129 one and 188. That was just rush.
Total.
First one was
98
total.
rush and then
Yeah.
188 rush.
It's been brutal for them
Yeah.
with him. So total yards, Najee Harris, Zagura, the number, total yards is 70.5.
I mean, over.
Now, keep in mind, he's not even close to this. He's like at 50 or 40.
He's got for the year. Well, last week he had 49 rushing, 40 receiving.
His year
For the year, he's
average
at
is
115.
36. He's at 21 yards a game
And 36,
receiving
yeah.
and 36 rush. He's at 57.
Yeah, but the week
total.
one was
All right.
way under. Week two's over. I'll take that over.
Taking the
70
over.
total yards. Yeah.
Give it.
I'll take that as a gift and go over as well.
All right. Hoff?
Fill it up again. Over.
Over. A sweet
And it
over.
won't even come really with the running the football. It's going to be, he's going to
30
hit a lot of
yards
checkdowns
receiving,
when
yeah.
nobody's open down
Yep.
the field. That doesn't take much.
Yeah.
Next.
Over or under.
Sacks, interceptions, and fumbles. Gibby, this one comes to you.
Have I gotten one right yet this year?
No. In fact, I don't think you've gotten this right in 3 years.
At least 2.
At least.
Yeah.
We went 5.5 the first 2 weeks. 4.5, Gibby. 4.5. A combination of sacks and turnovers forced against the Steelers' offense.
The defense rebounds nicely tonight. Over.
Over, says Gibby. Hoff? 4.5.
See, it bothers Nathaniel that I went over there.
I'm going under. I think
It
there's going to be a lot of
actually doesn't at all.
punts. I'm gonna say a lot of punts from the Steelers, but Mitchell Trubisky's not a turnover machine. Like if it's not there, he's just gonna dump it off. So I think we may have a few sacks, a few turnovers, but 4.5 is too strong for my blood.
Too high?
So far, they have on the season, they've been sacked 4 times, and they have 1 fumble lost and 1 interception. So they're averaging 3.
Yep.
I'm taking the under, and this is one, Gibbe, where I would love you to win. I would be tickled pink.
Next.
Over or under.
The
There we go.
actual over or under. And in the history, the short 2-week history of over-under, only the Hoff has gotten this one right.
I'm terrible.
You and Gibbe both have not gotten this one right.
Yeah.
The number for this week, 38.5. Hoff.
I'm going under. I don't think the Steelers are going to manage much offense tonight.
All right.
And I think the Browns, they're going to get the lead early, and they're going to run the ball, and so it'll be a lower scoring overall game.
So we've been at what, 50? And we've been at 61.
It's a low number here, though.
And the
This is a
over-unders, by the
low
way,
number.
have been as much as we've overachieved the over-under, the number has gone down each week.
Yeah.
So it's 41.5 week 1, 39.5 last week, 38.5 this week.
Yeah. This feels kind of to me like it's going to be that Denver game a year ago where it's just kind of
17,
not a
13
whole
or
lot
whatever.
happens. The clock's running a lot of the game. It's a fast game, a low-scoring game. I'm going to take the under as well.
Give it.
Under. All right, Thursday night games, screwy. No idea.
Like if
no
we don't
feel at
blow
all.
coverages and they have to matriculate the ball down the field, we're going to be in very good shape.
We will be.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff on the over-unders. Hoff's got to bounce.
Hoff has to bounce.
He's got to go. Bernie Kosar coming up at the top of the hour.
Yes.
That's official as
Oh,
well. You have that to look forward
joy.
to.
Hey,
which
you got a
is nice.
score? Joe Thomas with the score?
If he wants to. Do you want to do a score?
Sure. I like Browns 24, Steelers 10.
24-10 for the Hoff.
Love it.
All right, there you go.
God, I would love that.
That would be pretty sweet.
I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe I'll be sober at this point.
Of course you'll be sober. You're going to
I
be
don't
on
know.
the game. You're going to get drunk in the booth?
No, I'm going to start like as soon as the game ends.
That's late.
We win.
11 p.m.
Go straight.
till
Hey.
11 a.m. You got 12 hours.
I
Right
got
there.
3 places that don't exactly follow the 2 a.m. close.
Of course he has those. He's got those at the ready. Great stuff, Hoff.
Thanks for having me.
What a
guys.
treat.
Always
Enjoy your
joy.
Thursday
Game
night.
day. Always so fun being with you guys.
And God bless Six Springs Farm.
Oh,
in the
yes.
Let me tell you.
Keep it
Jack,
churning.
watch out. Your days are numbered.
Oh,
Coming
God.
for you. The Browns
I
spotted.
feel like we might have to go in just to get some of Jack
Oh,
when Jack's on the menu.
I don't want to. Long time we had a policy. I can't name. I don't want to name.
yeah. We made that
Will
mistake
this
a
be
couple
your
years
new
ago.
policy? No
yeah, I
naming
think so.
going
Either that or
forward?
we'll just name them the same thing every time. Because we have real quick funny story. So the first bull that we had, my son named him Sprinklehead, which was ironic a little bit, but we had Sprinklehead. Everybody loved the name. Well, Sprinklehead did not do a very good job of breeding the cows in his first year in pasture. So we thought Sprinklehead maybe was more into the same sex than the opposite sex. So we sent Sprinklehead off to turn him into sausage. We brought in another bull, Sprinklehead 2.0.
What?
Jack does not know yet that Sprinklehead number 1 does not exist on this planet anymore.
Is Sprinklehead 2.0 getting the job done?
He is. He's been fantastic. 14 of 14 2 years ago, 13 of 14 this year. So he's doing great.
Is there a horn on the boys that you're?
No,
doing?
they're all pulled.
They're all right. Very good.
Yep.
All right. Very good.
Z's brown spotted, pulled or unpulled?
Pulled, baby. It's the only way
well
to be
done.
for safety.
For safety. Love it.
Much more to come. Second hour here on a Browns Steeler Game Day edition. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Browns fans, be sure to stop by free Twisted Tea tailgate pregame party prior to every home game. Twisted Tea tailgate located west side of First Energy Stadium combines the atmosphere of a beer garden with live music, food, and drink options. The tailgate opens 4 hours prior to kickoff. It's open to fans with a ticket to the game. Check it out today. And as we head out on the Twisted Tea hotline from one legend in Joe Thomas to another in Bernie Kosar. Buddy, it's been a while since we've spoken to you. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing good, Bo. Good to be with you on Browns game day today.
What a treat, Bernie.
Little juice.
Absolute treat.
Little juice to it. What your favorite, right at the top of your head, favorite Steelers-Browns moment that you participated in?
God, thank you for starting off there. And I don't want to sound cocky, but I think I've been so blessed to have a quick couple of them. The overtime victory here in Cleveland Stadium, the 51-0. Breaking the Steelers jinx at the old Three Rivers, so that's three right off the top of my head.
Those are pretty good.
It absolutely get me. The three that get me fired off right off the bat. But just today, somebody sent me a clip of me throwing a nice little 10-yard hitch out to Reggie Langhorne. And Reggie Langhorne in the 1987 game went 80 yards with a touchdown. So I love when I see kind of that yak from run after the catch from our receivers, especially when they make me look good on an 80-yard score. I only had to throw it out there 10 yards.
It's a beautiful thing. Bernie, I talked with John Johnson earlier today, and he played for the Rams prior to coming here, went to a Super Bowl with that team. And I said, was there anything like this in the NFC West for you? And he goes, absolutely not. There's nothing like this. So let me ask you, who's somebody who's been a principal in this rivalry, what is it that makes this rivalry so damn special?
The proximity of the two teams, the two cities, but we think we're so different. But in reality, and I mean this complimentary, we're very hard-nosed, gritty cities, manufacturing, steelworker towns. We have a lot of history and pride in being blue-collar and working hard like that. And that, I think, kind of epitomizes both cities and epitomizes both teams. When you get those type of cities, teams, and fans and players together, their pride, their toughness, I think really permeates out of them. And as I'm sitting here on the lake looking out, get ready to get in towards the stadium, and I see the weather today and how it's changed with the wind and the breeze out there. This kind of really epitomizes the type of physical type series that it's been, and actually I believe the physical type game that both teams want to play tonight. And been listening to the show in the first hour with the great Hoff on there, talking about the physical running game and stuff you guys, I think, astutely are pointing out. And this type of weather and this type of series and this type of day is playing perfectly into that old school, let's run the ball and be as physical as possible.
Bernie, that we love talking to you about anything, but obviously we talk about the rivalry that gets us excited to hear your thoughts on that. But I love talking quarterbacks with you, and I said this in the first hour of the show. I've talked about it a little bit throughout the course of the week. I've been really impressed with Jacoby Brissett. I mean, I think we all know the limitations and some of the things in terms of down the field. But, Bernie, what I really like is he doesn't miss much by much. It seems like most everything is put in a place where only our guy can get it. There aren't many times where the ball leaves his hand and you go, holy smokes, where's that going? Where was that intended? What have you made of the first 2 weeks of Jacoby Brissett managing this offense?
Oh, what a fantastic point. And not trying to just be a guy who's taking care of the quarterbacks. And complimenting the quarterbacks, his accuracy, his ball placement in terms of, making the catch, and statistically to be 22 for 27, 229 yards last week, a touchdown, one interception, but it's his placement with it, not only in terms of being able to make the catch, but in terms of making it be safe for the guy to get some run after the catch, and for to not have dangerous type plays. And to your point, the first 2 weeks, we really didn't have any real plays where you said, man, we got a break that that ball should have been intercepted. That play should have been intercepted. Actually, his attention to detail and his ball security has been exceptional. And with a day like today and win like it is tonight, that type of ball placement, that type of ball security is imperative to have.
When you have a route runner like Amari Cooper, who I thought put on a clinic, Bernie, against the Jets, he had the 9 catches, 101 yards, and the touchdown, and you're playing a team like the Steelers that likes to play a lot of man-one. When you have a guy that can always beat man coverage, what does that do for you as a quarterback, and what does that force the Steelers to do with their coverage?
Yeah, to get 9 catches for 101 yards is absolutely impressive. Even more impressive was that he got the 9 catches on 9 targets. So the efficiency and timing between Amari Cooper and Jacoby Brissett for 2 weeks into the season is impressive. Honestly, with this type of weather, I really want to see some good man coverage, because I think the way Amari Cooper is able to have a plethora of choices in his route running, his attention to detail at how he's able to get into the cornerbacks and able to get into their hips and able to really kind of have his way with them from the releases. I hope that plays into their defensive scheme tonight. I kind of like when, we've talked about this on the show at length, when you have weather like this, that sometimes the cornerbacks to play off and squat and look inside, because the ball will float. The ball will have a tendency to not go where you throw today and float in the air with this type of weather. So to make sure you're really accurate and concise and precise with your throws.
Bernie, one of our favorites, your favorite, fellow U guy, David Njoku, off to a little bit of a slow start here. This would, boy, if ever there was a time to get him rolling, this feels like the type of game with these conditions. How can they get him going a little bit in the pass game?
Well, I really love how our tight ends, and actually Chief in particular, has been amazing in the run game. Mm-hmm. How we've been run blocking, and it's been a lost art within the league. And this isn't just a cover for him. What we're doing in the running game, and we're going to talk about this tonight. You guys astutely nailed it in the first hour of the show, of the undersized defensive ends for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Without their great T.J. Watt at the end man on the line of scrimmage, their ability to stop the perimeter run has really been challenged. That's something that the Cleveland Browns, we've done exceptional through the first 2 weeks of the season. It was a very similar kind of game plan in my head to the Carolina Panthers in the first week, where Carolina's defensive ends were undersized, and we wanted to get some of that perimeter running, and we did it really well. The Steelers, very similar, I believe, tonight. Their undersized defensive ends is something that really lends itself to the off-tackle running game that we're doing so well, and Chief and our tight ends have been exceptional on that. I also like how last week's game against the Jets, that even though they were little plays, you could see how we incorporated the running game, we incorporated the tight ends, and we incorporated getting Jacoby Brissett comfortable with that first quarter drives, those first, say, 15 scripted plays by Coach Stefanski. There's been a lot of talk about play calling. Is it good? Is it bad? Scheming and that. I thought it was exceptional how he got Jacoby Brissett, the tight ends, the offense, the running game implemented, started last week with the Jets. You saw a lot of personnel groups, motions, and shifts to get Harrison Bryant a couple cheap little flat routes early in the game. You saw the tight end screen to Chief to get him going. So there's a couple little plays within there that they're not big down the field type plays that I think we laid the groundwork for them the first 2 weeks. And in week 3 tonight would absolutely, I think, be an evolution of the offense. And Bo, exactly the next step you want to make. I'm not sure the weather is going and the wind is going to allow us to be incredibly aggressive down the field. And that may play into a positive from our Browns' perspective, because and I like Mitchell Trubisky from Menor High School, but the Pittsburgh Steelers have been incredibly conservative, and they're down the field throwing in their first 2 games, and they have some weapons at their receiver standpoint. So I would bet that there's probably a concerted effort from Mitchell Trubisky and the Steelers to be a little more aggressive down the field. And bluntly, he's probably playing for his career, his Pittsburgh Steelers career starting job, with them having a mini bye week after this game. So if I was in that type position quarterback, I'd be probably looking and anticipating my game planning to be more aggressive down the field for sure. And when you wake up this morning in Cleveland, Ohio, and you see this disaster weather on the lake, that immediately it deflates your balloon right there. So right now they're probably trying to figure out what's the type of plays that fit for them also too. They have equally a bigger issue because their offensive line isn't blocking like a Coach Callahan Cleveland Browns offensive line has been blocking.
All right, Bernie. So we're here in Berea. And there's what is going on down there, man? Play meteorologist for us right now. Is the wind whipping? It's still here. Is it breezy down there on the lake?
I think they're pushing Canada across Lake Erie. It's coming so much from the north.
Oh
yeah.
No!
Toronto is closer than you want it to be right now. Yeah. And for the people watching tonight, or for the people down here that say, God, it's really not rainy. It's not really that rainy, if at all. That's not a problem. I love rain and snow for games. It's when you start trending up in these 25-mile-an-hour winds right now and these gusts. And again, this afternoon, the 25-mile-an-hour ones are really tough within the stadium, especially the way we need the Phil Dawson wind meter tonight. So hopefully by nighttime that'll slow down a little bit. But yeah, right now this is a good moment to be retired.
All right, so this is what I've got tonight. 54 degrees. It'll feel like 48. Average wind out of the north, 17 miles an hour. Maximum wind gusts up to 34 miles an hour on the lake.
Bernie just said Toronto's closer than you want it to be.
Yeah. They're blowing. It's coming right from the north. He's had that right.
Hey, and actually, you're going to see me. I'm going to try to seriously sneak into the stadium in the next hour or so, because this is a rarity that it comes almost directly from the north. It's almost always from the southwest, the northwest, the east. So I'm really interested for myself. And for the quarterbacks, I really recommend for the Browns quarterbacks, my old coaches used to have me go to each corner of the end zone, each corner of the stadium, and throw grass up in the air and see what happens to it. It sounds kind of corny, but that's absolutely something that you need to do, because what happens to our on the field a lot of times is the opposite of what's happening on the flagpoles up in the stadium. So a lot of people look at the flagpoles and think that that's the way the wind's blowing, and actually it's a tip to tell you that it's probably doing something else.
Interesting, and that could be certainly a factor in this game. Mitch Trubisky, not the strongest arm in the league, and the wind affects those who do not have the ability to throw it through the wind. I want to go back to something that you mentioned earlier real quickly here with the tight ends, with Njoku and Harrison Bryant, who, by the way, is our number 2 receiver this year so far with 68 yards on the season. When you look at this Steelers team, they play that 3-4. They usually have 5 guys on the line of scrimmage. It feels like a game where the Browns will want to keep them in base as much as possible with the 2 tight ends. What advantages does that give us on offense, and what are the challenges that 3-4 presents with your 2 stand-up guys on the outside?
Yeah, the 3-4 defense and the Steeler defense, and it's an impressive, historically fantastic defense the Steelers run, and with T.J. Watt in there and the stout defensive end, that does cause an issue, especially in the run game and in the way they support their gap integrity to take away the run game. So as we were talking about a couple minutes ago in this segment, and as you guys astutely nailed in the first hour of the show, their edge perimeter running because they're so undersized at the defensive ends. Typically in 3-4 defense teams, those outside guys have significant size to them. So this is a nice opportunity / game planning thing to see the undersized defensive ends for them. So that should present a beautiful opportunity for us to do something with that off-tackle run game that we do naturally well anyways, that plays into our strength.
Bernie, I'll get you out of here on this one because really you are the perfect person to talk about this rivalry as someone who grew up in Youngstown. What is growing up when you did there, what was the pull one way or another? How was that town split?
So back in the 70s, it was probably a good 50-50. Right now, almost a tragedy. Last Sunday's Browns-Jets game was blacked out in Youngstown, Ohio, because they put the Steelers-Patriots game on.
Wow.
So now it's probably, that's pretty sad to me. That was probably 60-40 now, Steelers fans. So, I mean, I'm saying this, and I'm actually getting elevated in my high blood pressure as we're talking here. But my dad seriously used to say, I don't care if the Browns lose every game, as long as they win the 2 games against the Browns. You can go, back then it was 14 games. Go 2-12, and it's a successful year if you beat the Steelers. I don't want to swear, but backside. Let me say that.
God bless you.
It's still too early to break into some bad language for the kids out there. I don't want to go to confession this weekend.
Good idea, buddy. Hey, man, it is so awesome having you on. It's great talking to you, brother. Thanks for your time today.
The legend.
Awesome. You matter. Go Browns today.
Absolutely. The great Bernie Kosar joining us on the Twisted Tea hotline. Our keys to the victory tonight, your game day forecast, give you a little teaser of that. It's all coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily on a game day. Pittsburgh here tonight on Thursday Night Football in a must win for the boys in orange and brown. Do we have officially? Do we know what look we're wearing tonight? Has that been officially known?
Brown over orange, brother.
Brown over
Wait,
orange,
Come on,
that's
you just
locked
saw the
in?
video. That's.
I didn't know if that was officially locked in.
This could work.
This could work.
At Angry Browns fans has an unbelievable video right now. Just the emotions of the last week for Browns fans. It's pretty stout.
Here's the deal. Ain't nothing a win won't cure. And that's the
right.
deal tonight.
That's right.
If you do that, you wake up on Friday morning, you got a win over Pittsburgh. You're 2-1. You'd be in first place in the AFC North, and away you go, heading into 10 days off to a little bit of a mini bye, and then Atlanta after that in a game that you would be favored in. So this can make a lot of what ails you right if you handle your business tonight against a Steeler team that you have, frankly, a lot of advantages.
You're better than they are.
You are.
We're better than they are.
You are.
And we got to handle our
without
business.
T.J. Watt, and yeah, it definitely is that case. All right, time for keys to victory from the good Dr. Z.
Well, I think when you lay out, as you just did, that we're the better football team.
Actually, you did, but I just set it up for you to lay out.
You agreed. You agreed with me on it, though.
I concur.
We are better. And so I said, just don't beat yourself. I don't care if we're talking about turnovers. I don't care if we're talking about special teams blunders, if we're talking about backbreaking penalties or blown coverages on defense. I don't care. If the Browns do their jobs, they will beat the Steelers. Pittsburgh is awful on offense. Without T.J. Watt in lineup, they're 0-5 all time. We could be 2-0. We're not. The reason is us. So let's not be the reason, as lovely Miss K gets ready for the game, that we lose this game.
Miss K is in a fantastic fall attire.
It is. First jeans of the year, she said.
First jeans of the year. I held off today. I'm in shorts.
Me too.
I'm not ready for it
I went shorts and a hoodie. Shorts and a hoodie is still a great.
Shorts,
can
quarter
carry
zip.
you.
I'm the same.
Well, and you're in a. I mean, that looks like.
It's a fine quarter zip, but that's. I mean, this is really my sweet spot.
Is this the Nance collection?
That's right.
Yeah,
a nice
right.
brown
that
tweed.
Looks like, like almost a merino wool or a cashmere.
It's real soft. It's real
Whatever
soft.
it is, it's a fine fabric.
If I was a human of consequence in the organization, this would probably be my game day quarter zip.
Yeah,
like if I had to be there, that's what this would probably.
You are a human of consequence.
Back to your keys.
To me.
Thank you, brother.
Run the ball. Browns averaging 200.5 yards rushing per game, which is most in the NFL. And the Browns have been generating 5.1 yards per carry. As I talked about earlier, this is a team that struggles without T.J. Watt to stop the run to the outside. I think we can do that. I love this stat. There are only 7 players in the NFL total with 100 or more rushing yards and 2 or more total touchdowns. 2 of them play for the Cleveland Browns, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb.
That's right.
That's a wild stat. So do that. Gash them. Also, if the Browns hit 180 yards on the ground tonight, it will be the first time with 4 straight games of 180-plus since the days of Jim Brown back in 1957. And then finally, tight coverage, pressure Trubisky. That's what Bernie was talking about. The ball's going to come out quick. 33 of his 43 completions have come within 9 yards of the line of scrimmage this year. That's a crazy stat to me. Play tight. Hopefully we can get our hands on the ball. Wouldn't it be nice, as you said earlier, to see a pick 6 go the other way? Sure,
we're due.
It would be.
We're due.
We are due. Come on.
Hop a route. Let's go.
Let's go, and then get after the quarterback. Put pressure on him. He struggles under pressure, and we do that. We're going to win this game. We're going to win this game.
So when we had the great Bernie Kosar on, he gave us his own forecast, and it made it seem pretty brutal down there from a wind standpoint. He said, that was a great line. Toronto's much closer than anybody wants it.
Yeah.
Tonight, partly cloudy, 10 to 20 mile an hour winds. You mentioned gusts into the 30s. Gibby has temps in the low 60s, high 50s. That's not what we're lower than that.
A little bit colder than that.
A little brisker than that down there. And then the swirl of the wind down there will be a key factor in all of this. You know what? They honestly should. Our weather app of choice.
It's elite. It even
really
notes in the weather app, it says there might be a shower or two briefly during the football game, it says.
Yeah, I wanted to get the official. I mean, we got a beach hazard statement. Let's go for an hourly.
Yeah.
It's so detailed. It's incredible.
It's really
wild.
It's like you're there.
It really is. All right, so it is showing the official app does show a real feel. Did you get First Energy Stadium to come up on yours?
Of course I did.
Okay, so I'm still getting a Cleveland.
Okay.
So I need a First Energy Stadium.
Yeah.
Is what I need. How did you do that? Did you get a pin?
I just I Googled First Energy Stadium, and then when I typed that in, that's what it gave me. You can do the address too.
Oh, that would probably do it.
Yeah, but it's a
delight.
It's a delight. The app's a delight, but I mean, it's going to be bad, but it's not. This isn't going to be like.
No, we've had worse.
This is like kindergarten. This child's
play compared to what I did. If Gerard comes up to you tonight and he's like, man, this is brutal. You don't have any idea what it's like down here. At that point,
well, he wouldn't say the last part, but he might say it's brutal. I'd be like, dude, this is nothing.
If that happens, I want you to use a line from one of my favorite movies, Smokey and the Bandit, in which Buford T. Dush just says, "That's baby blank alongside of what this dude's doing."
That's
so
right.
I want you to say that's baby stuff alongside of what this dude has done.
Yeah,
that's how I want that.
The 3-game stretch that I had.
That was 2 years ago, right?
2020 was as bad as ever. And I'll tell you what, the other sneaky bad one was in New England in 2019 when it was cold. It was like high 30s, and it rained the entire game.
Rain and wind are the enemy.
Rain.
That's the enemy of all fun, of joy.
Of joy and comfort. Yeah. That's right.
Wouldn't it be better to be going down there today and just walking indoors and have it be 71, 67 degrees?
It'd be great.
Everything just
why not?
Climate control.
Why can't it be that way?
I mean, it's September, kids.
Yeah.
September 22nd. Happy birthday to the blonde. Happy birthday to her today, by the way.
Oh, today's the day?
Today's the official day. We celebrated over the weekend because you can't in the middle of
happy birthday.
Yeah. So she's done a good job. We're all very proud of her.
That's right. Yeah.
All right.
Your dad coming in like
it's
a birthday
gift.
It's
look
a gift.
Look at this. What a gift.
Well, he's good for some compliments. So
he's
nice.
good for compliments and demanding of cans of beer and these type of things on request. So
how does he say, does he say cold beer? How does he say that?
No, he's not from the South.
He doesn't give you a cold beer.
Actually,
I'd like a cold beer.
He usually just goes and gets – he's a big help yourself guy.
Sure.
Make yourself at home. A lot of that.
Yeah.
Buying or selling home with Howard Hanna Real Estate Services, always a winning strategy. If you plan to make a move this season, they're going to be having you covered at Howard Hanna. Every day is game day. Visit howardhanna.com/GoBrowns today. Inching closer to that kickoff tonight. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. The OBM, the official partner of the that was on the air of the Cleveland Browns. Will you depend on your Browns
What
to
the
win?
hell was that?
You can always depend on OBM because we can tackle in any size office. Call 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. I like that. Set the tone. Set the tone.
Look, I'm just ready for the game.
I know.
Like, what?
Do you see it was brought to our attention that I'm on his own feed. Deshaun working out, looks great in the all-orange, spinning it.
Yeah.
It appears to be at a local high school. I can't tell what it is.
It is the grayness that's indicative of a
Yeah,
of a
I mean,
fall
it's
day in
clearly
Cleveland.
here today. It feels like. It
Yep.
looks like that somewhere around here. And I just can you imagine being like some kid at high school and then you look out and
Would be awesome. Be like,
in a
oh
helmet,
man,
jersey,
dude, I
and
would be like,
shorts.
yo, do you need? I'll run routes for you.
It's done.
What, you need a catch?
What do you need? Have a catch. All right, we have some over-under props for tonight. I'm going to give you the prop, and you try to guess. God bless you. You try to guess the number we're looking for.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Yep. Like.
All right. Up first,
Yep.
Jacoby Brissett's passing yards. What is your guess on what the number should be?
Jacoby Brissett passing yards. They're giving up 275.5 per game, third most in the NFL right now are the Steelers, believe it or not.
Yep. Burrow had a lot. He had 340 or something on him.
Jacoby on the season averaging just about 190 yards a game. 215.5.
182.5. Low.
Over.
Low.
Yeah, that's really low. So maybe they got maybe they were listening to the Bernie weather report. And they're like, it's a blizzard. Nobody can see out here. That's a very low number.
Yeah. I was surprised by that because I think there's going to be some opportunity there. All right, here's the next one. This is Mitchell Trubisky, the pride of Menor, one of the great high school quarterbacks in the history of this state. All around good dude, everything I've ever heard. Passing completions for Mitch Trubisky tonight. Completions.
Over under 19.5.
Real good. Good job out of you. 20.5.
Okay.
So you're right near.
Okay.
I would think the over on that.
Yeah, I think that feels about right. Like last week against New England, for example, he was 22 of 33 in that game. So this and that was a 17-14 game. This has a similar feel to it, I think. So that wouldn't surprise me. By the way, Mac Jones was 21 of 35 for 252 against them last week.
Mm-hmm.
And we're 70 yards below that.
Yeah, it's just
That's wild.
yeah.
I mean, listen.
Here's what I said. I don't think a lot of people watched our game against the Jets.
Well, they saw the end.
Right, but I mean in terms of watching the game
Sure.
and seeing the way Jacoby Brissett played.
Yeah.
And I keep talking about it. He didn't miss anything big. Like
No.
you went through and you did the Maddenization of it all, and maybe Madden had it figured out all along. Like all of the throws were on the money out of 20. What do you have? 27.
Quick aside, you got to get your boys. So they've come out with in Madden a new
All right.
series. It's called AKA. So it's like guys who had great nicknames, and so the first 6 of them were Beast Mode, Fitzmagic, Night Train, Minister of Defense, Iron Mike Ditka, and there's one other
Gotta
one
be
that I'm
prime time,
thinking.
doesn't it?
I'm sure he'll be a part of it eventually. He'll be like when the numbers go higher and higher. But they have the Fitzmagic. He's happens to be a very nice card, but he's in his like the one where he's in the post game with the jacket open, no shirt.
Isn't that
his
Deshaun
beard.
Yes.
Yes.
Clothes? Didn't he
Yes.
put on his clothes?
Yes.
For the post game.
It's unreal.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Best nickname in NFL history. Maybe not the best. What's your favorite?
I mean, the ones that pop into my mind when you ask that out loud, I do love Beast Mode.
Yeah.
I like Billy White Shoes Johnson is an all-time
Fantastic.
from our youth.
Yep.
I mean, Minister of Defense is pretty good
Pretty good.
for Reggie White.
I don't know how you can beat Dick Night Train Lane.
Night Train's pretty good. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I don't even really get it.
I don't either.
But I like it.
To?
But I like it.
I don't know that you need to.
Prime's
Pretty good. And then the fact that Dion came up with Primetime in his dorm room at Florida State in an effort to market defensive backs, and then referred to himself as Prime.
Yeah. He's Coach Prime.
He's Coach
now.
Prime now. The fact that he referred to himself that way. There was a Sports Illustrated cover leading up to that draft that had it Neon Dion.
Yeah, Neon
and
Dion.
he was really pissed off about it. He was really upset with it and wouldn't talk to SI for a while because of it.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
That's a good
he
little
was-
fact.
he was not.
Michael Irvin's the Playmakers. Not
Playmaker's
bad.
great.
Yeah, Playmakers pretty good.
I mean,
Sweetness.
Playmaker and Prime Sweetness is so strong. So good.
Yeah.
So good. All right, Amari Cooper, we're looking for receptions. Receptions tonight against Pittsburgh for
I
Amari
think a good
Cooper.
over-under for him is 5.5.
Close. 4.5.
Okay.
4.5. And you mentioned Deontay Johnson is 5 for 100
14
games.
straight games.
Felt like 1,000 games in a row.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible
Yeah.
that he's had at least 5 in all of those. All right, the next one is receiving yards for the Chief. By the way, were we over or under Cooper's 4.5 receptions?
I'd be over.
Yeah, me too.
I think 5's a great number. I think he's gonna have 5 catches at least in this game.
Yeah.
Chiefs receiving yards over under. $31.5.
25.5.
I initially was at 27.5. Dang it.
I think he'll do well. I think he could get. I think tonight's a night for him a little bit. I think.
I'd like to see it. I'd like to. He's worthy and quite capable. So I'd like to see him get those opportunities that he is not currently getting. Is what I'd like.
I like how Bernie pointed out his ability in the run game and blocking and all of the stuff that he's done there. That's absolutely awesome on his side of things, and he's been a big part of that. And obviously, you're going to run it a lot tonight. But I do think that you could get him going a little bit. The one thing you have to be wary of, and I think obviously we will be, is just Micah Fitzpatrick is playing at an incredible level right now.
So the Steelers, week 1, 6 catches, 48 yards to the tight end position to the Bengals. Week 2 against Hunter Henry, nary a single catch for the tight ends of the New England Patriots, and they threw for 250. Now their wide receivers in that game both did well. Aguilar had 6 for 110 and a touchdown. Jacoby Myers 9 for 95. Something to keep an eye on there. Okay, all right.
All right, finally, Cade York field goals. I'm guessing this is field goals made.
Made. It's got to be 1.5.
3.
The over-under's 3?
Yeah. It's interesting how they think this game's going to go. It feels like they think it's going to be 13-10.
Yeah,
or maybe I guess
15,
14, 15-10 or something like that would be probably, a 4-3.
Like you
That's
could
a
only
high
win
number.
that if he makes 4 field goals, which is possible certainly, but
that's a high
an
number.
absolutely wild number.
Yeah. What did you make of him missing that extra point? I'd never seen him do that.
He just pushed it a little bit.
Just did. So is it? So I saw somebody saying that there was a rush that came to the right that maybe forced him to go
From the
faster
left.
from the
Yeah.
left rather.
His left.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. But, I mean, it's one that you would expect him to make. They don't see that. If you ask him, he would say that you don't even see those guys. So, yeah, a bummer, obviously, given that it was one of the cavalcade of things that happened that definitely cost us in that one. But it happens right there. Here's something I just came across on Twitter that I find fascinating. So we talk all the time about the great receiving core of LSU that had all those studs. Ohio State's had them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those teams were both teams of consequence, given the studs that they had.
Yeah.
USC had, at one point, Pittman, Drake London, and Amon-Ra St. Brown together.
Yes, they did.
And they stunk.
They did stink.
How?
Well, I mean, that's the Clay Helton era. So the quarterbacks at that time, I mean, and a lot of those quarterbacks it was JT Daniels, Keaton Slovis, like a lot of those kids. One of those, I think Slovis is at Pitt now and Daniels at West Virginia. Daniels was at Georgia. I mean, they had these quarterbacks that were big-time recruits that didn't turn into anything.
Yeah.
And it just was
With three
dudes.
NFL receivers.
3 NFL receivers.
Pretty
well,
good
and I
ones.
think that's, I mean, as a quick aside from a college football perspective, that's why part of the reason Lincoln Riley's been able to flip it so quickly at USC, they obviously get the kid from Pitt to come out there and transfer. That helps. He gets his quarterback from in Caleb Williams from Oklahoma.
Yep.
All of those things help. But they've always recruited okay. Even as they've struggled the last decade, there's a ton of talent in Southern California, and it's still a destination. I mean, I picked them to make the playoff this year in part because of that. They've always had dudes, and so that's just a part of it. But it is stupefying because usually if you have that type of talent, you're dynamic offensively, and they were never dynamic offensively.
Yeah, like
under Clay
dynamic.
Yeah, Never. Not at any point. So, all right. Still actually so much more to come. Our final keys to victory for the Browns. We'll get you your score. It is a Browns-Steelers Thursday night here in the city. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Rumpke Waste Recycling, family owned and operated. Whether you join them as a customer or as an employee, you'll become part of the family. Visit rumpke.com to learn more. Fish texting me with the Galloping Ghost, Red Grange. Good job at a fish.
The Nigerian Nightmare. Got to tweet about
Very
him.
strong.
Christian Okoye. Yeah.
God,
that's a good one.
That's
a really good one.
That's really good.
He was such a beast.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then when he went away, then it was Barry Word. So they had two of them.
Who was also a big dude.
Big dudes. And I think also like that era, the shoulder pads were so huge.
Yeah.
With the big neck things and all of that you even see bigger than you were. Look, there's no hyperbole to this. It's a must-win game. It's a get-a-win by any measure
Any
type of
means
game.
necessary.
We are a better team than them.
Yeah.
We're more talented than them.
Yeah.
Our operation is better than them. It's about going out and doing it on a Thursday night, getting to 2-1, being atop the AFC North, heading into Week 4. It's as simple as that. Heading into a mini bye, all that ails you can be remedied tonight. It's all there for you.
It's all there, and now it's just about the doing. And we've been talking about it for a while, and this would have been a completely different week had we figured out a way to just get the job done. Not really figured out a way, because we had it done against the Jets, and now this is a game of great importance. And it would have been, even if you were 2-0, it would have been a game of great importance for you, because if you're 3-1 this first quarter, you just didn't want the one to beat Pittsburgh because it's a division game. So take care of this. 1-0 in the division. Worst case scenarios, you're tied for first in the division. You've got a game lead on the Steelers and potentially a game lead on, if not more, on the Bengals. So it's a good place to be in. Go out there, take care of business, set the tone this week, and keep yourself right there at the top of this division before you head down to Atlanta.
Gibbe with the following report from down on the lake. Light rain, wind, and cold. Nasty.
Nasty, says Gibbe.
Nasty down there. It's a Nick Chubb game. It's a Kareem Hunt game. It's it's interesting. I liked what Bernie was saying. I was asking about the Youngstown connection and the old AFC North, and you think about the black and blue and who's tougher and all of that. Oddly enough, and we're not necessarily going to be this long term. When Deshaun Watson comes back, we're going to be a very dynamic team, and we still have the ability to do that here. But when he comes back, it's on another level. These two teams, this feels like, are we tougher? You tougher? We who? You me? Me you? Who's tougher? That's it.
That's it. And
can
listen,
you be physical?
We should be able to be physical. It looks like Jack Conklin back at right tackle for the Browns, so you've got your line the way that you wanted it, with the exception, obviously, of Ethan Posick in at center. But he's done a very good job.
Yes, he has.
So he's been just fine. So you've got your line, you got your tight ends, and you're going against a defense that's missing its megastar. I mean, I don't know how many defensive players there are, and Miles is probably on that short list. You said 5, and I think that's probably right if we went through, but that are worth 5 points a game, 2 sacks a game, and 50 yards a game.
3.
Yeah, it might just be Miles,
Those
Watt,
two
and Donald. And that's it. I mean, he is incredibly impactful for them. He is out. We've got to take advantage of that.
Yep.
Bottom line.
Yep.
Let's get it done.
It's that simple.
Let's go.
Bring a little juice, kids. Bring a little juice on a Thursday night. Make that place tough. Make it hard on Mitchell Trubisky. More the elements, all of the things are stacking. It's just a simple matter of going out and handling your business on a Thursday night. And once that happens, we'll be back here tomorrow for a Victory Friday edition of the program. Knock
Let's
on
go.
the plexiglass. Let's go. It is as simple as that. Good luck on the call. Not that you need it.
Thanks, brother.
Good luck to Gerard
Yeah.
out there in the elements.
I hope he's surviving, thriving, and surviving.
There's a little bit of Schadenfreude for you.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Just a touch. You were out there a long time in the mix. This is nothing.
This would have been
Baby
nothing,
stuff.
though. This would have been nothing. This would have not altered my outfit, really. This would have been nothing.
Yeah, you're good. It's gonna be a fun one.
Maybe an overcoat, maybe.
Yeah, I like it.
We're talking dude, I've been out there when it's been in the teens.
That's right. You have for years.
For years. Seriously.
That's right.
Come on, it's September still. The nastiest game I ever did in September, in my recollection, was the week 1 where we tied the Steelers in a monsoon.
Yeah,
It was disgusting.
that was 19. No. Yeah,
It was 18.
It was 18?
Tyrod
It was
started that game.
18.
18.
Yeah,
I was at that game.
Then we went to New Orleans and should have won that game and did not. And
then away we went.
Then we went to Baker.
That's the way it went. All right, enjoy your game tonight. Let's get a win for the Brownies. We're back.